This video will be an overview of the events page inside a client file. Starting with the top left, we have our all events checkbox. What this does is that when you check it, it's going to display all the events that have been added to this client file, whether or not they're open or closed. Our status checkbox will make it so it'll group these events based off of the event status. So if you have multiple events that are the same status, so we have prepare now waiting 5 times, this will then group them all together, and then we can click this I to view them all. And then lastly, events due. This is just a display where we can change the events that are due today, next 7 days, or the next 30 days. Then over towards the top right, we have our add button. You click on add. This is a way that you can move the client to a different event status or to add a new event to their client file. You have the status drop down right here, which you can then choose the event status to move the client to. And also on this menu, you can do things like add a note or assign the event to a user or adjust the assigned date and the start date. And then once you're happy with that, just click Save Close, and that will then add the new event to the client file. Then we have the Actions button, and this has a few different actions that are housed in it. So for example, Bill Events. This works when you select the event with this selection box right here. And then what that allows you to do with Bill Events is it allows you to enter an amount billed here. This can also pull from the billable column right here. And then also you can send this over to the transaction section with a transaction type. So you could set this up as a fee for tax prep with a note, and then you can create that transaction. Then we have delete, and then delete will delete the event status. However, if you do not see this option here, it means that you do not have a particular user setting turned on inside of your user file. Export will export the event to an Excel file format. Move events is used to move this particular event status to a different year or to a linked client. What happens is you just click on move events and you can select a different account year to move the event status to. Then we have override fields, and the way this works is that you click on it and then it allows you to override things like the assign to, the start date, the end date. So this is helpful if you have multiple events that are open. You could then select them all with the box here, and then you can override all of their fields. And then we have the print button up here, and print allows you to print a billable report. So if your events are set up to be billable, you could get a report for those with that information. Account event history will print a report of the history of the events that were opened for this account year. And then account events notes, this will print off a report for all of the event notes that have been added to your events. And then finally, we have the update button up here. And then what this does is it works with the done checkbox. This is a way that you can close out an event. You can select this box, then update it, which will then mark it as done. And so, but this is only possible if you have the same user setting turned on that allows you to delete events. That user setting is, if you go to a user file, that is going to be the allow account event modifications. We'll go over the columns now. And for the columns, I'll be switching between the saved view, which is this view right here, and also the edit view, which is found by clicking the edit pencil, and then it changes what is in each of these columns. Starting with actions. So actions has the edit pencil, which if you click on this, it opens up all of these fields for editing. It has delete, which again, this is only available to those that have the user setting turned on inside their user profile. And then there's checklists right here. And so if an event has a checklist that is set up, these are found with this icon right here. And if you click the edit pencil, this then opens up save and cancel. The done column has the done checkbox, which again we talked about, works with this update button. This is a way that you can mark events as done or not done. The status column displays the name of the event status. If it is highlighted, it means that the event is currently open. Notes is where you can leave notes that pertain to the event status. If you click on the edit pencil, it allows you to type in this field here. You can also click this clock to timestamp it, which puts down the exact date, time, and user that's making the note. And you also have a predefined note area where you can set up a predefined note that can automatically display the text that is set up for that particular note. And you can also add new ones from this screen right here. This is kind of a shortcut to the admin category types event status page. So you can create new ones here. And then in the saved view of it, you have a permanent note icon. And so if you click on this, you can add a permanent note to this particular event status. And that permanent note will display off in its own area. The assigned to column will display the user that this event is assigned to if there is an assignment. If you click on the edit pencil, this will display a list of users to select for the assigned to. And so you can select the user and then click save. And then that will then display that user there. There's also a keep assigned checkbox. And what this does is when it is turned on, what this will do is when this event is closed out, the assignment for this event will still show up in this user's assigned task list, even though it is closed out. Then you have your assigned and due date. This will display the assigned and the due date, as well as the days after the due date and also the priority of the event. And you can adjust those by clicking the edit pencil. And that is where you can either type in a day or just click the calendar to select a different day. And then your arrow can push that assigned date over to the due date, or you can click the calendar for the due date, and then that will let you select a due date. And then the priority has a list here where you can set the priority of the event status. Then we have the client notification column, and this starts off with a few different displays. You have a disable notifications display, which will display whether or not the notifications for this event were turned off. You have days, which will show the number of days that have passed since a notification was sent to the client. Then you have days to the next notification, which will then display the number of days for the next one to be sent out to the client. Then we have the printer icon, and this has a display for the number of messages that have been sent out to the client from this event. If you click on it, it will display the messages that were sent. The send predefined link, this is a way that you can manually send out a new message to the client. You just click on this, and then assuming that you have a message that's created, it will display here. If you have multiple that are created for this event, you could click this drop down menu towards the top and then select that message. Then once you choose your message, click send. And then lastly, we have the add predefined link, and this is a shortcut to where you can add a new predefined message for this event status. You just click on it, and then it is a shortcut to that page where you can add in new predefined messages. Then if we click the edit pencil to edit that column, we have our disable notifications checkbox right here. And then also, if we did have a message that was set to automatically go out to the client, we could adjust those days that it's going to go out with this field right here. Moving over to Billable. Billable has displays for whether or not the event is made to be billable, whether or not it was billed, the rate, the budgeted hours, and then the billable hours, which does have this stopwatch button right here. And this allows you to start a timer. And by doing this, it will automatically check that the event is billable. It will automatically put in a default rate. And then now that clock is rolling. And then it will keep on rolling until we click the stop button right there. And then you have displays for the amount and the variance. And so the amount is computed based off of the time that this has been going on and then the rate. And if you click the edit pencil, this allows you to edit these fields. So you can turn on or off the billable functionality for the event. You can indicate that it was indeed billed. You can adjust the rate, you can adjust the budget hours, and you can override the actual hours. So say if I want to just fill in 3 hours for this, it will then compute that with the rate and then get us a total of $300 for the amount. Then we have displays for the date and times. The start date is the start date of the event, and that will display here. Usually it's going to be the same as the created date unless if you manually change the start date. End date will display as open if the event is currently open. If it is a closed event, then it will fill in the date that it was closed, and then the created date is the date that it was created. And then you have displays for hours and days. And then if you click the edit pencil, we can adjust the start date with our calendar right here, and we can also adjust the end date with the calendar as well. Then the user column will display who created the event, who was the last person to make a change to it with this modified by, and then who the event user is, and the event user is the person that is primarily working on this event status. And if we click our edit pencil, this will open up to where you can adjust who the event user is. And then finally we have a settings column, and this will display copy and site and event type settings that pertain to this event status. If we click the edit pencil, this is where we can adjust the copy, which just is a setting for the functionality of this event when it closes. So if we were to set this to copy, what would happen if we were to close this event is that it would then copy a new event in its place once it is closed, and then copy and close. What this will do is it'll make it so if this event is open and we create a new account year for this client, it will close this event in our current year and then copy it into the new account year. So for tax prep, you probably won't use these much at all, but for other business types like payroll and bookkeeping, you might want to use these. Then site is a way that you can set the site for this particular event status. And so if you have multiple Atom sites, you can set that to what site that this event status is occurring at. And then event type is just a way to add a further classification for the event status. Again, for tax prep, you might not really use this whole lot, but for payroll or bookkeeping, you can set an event to be annual or bi-weekly or monthly. So, and you can also adjust these too, so you can kind of create your own event types. So that is an overview of all the columns and the links and buttons that are going on with the client file events section. So definitely reach out to Atom Support if you have any questions. Thank you for watching.